You are Locked On Giants POSTCAST, part of Locked On Sports San Francisco on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Yo, what's up, everyone, and welcome back to the Locked On Giants Postcast. I'm your host, Eric Triple E Engel. You may know me as the former producer for the Murph and Mac Morning Show on KMBR. And today, the Giants kicked the you-know-what out of the Angels in the series finale. 13-6 is your final score. Got a little bit too close there at the end with Doval's mishaps on the mound. We'll get into that. And the sun was shining on Father's Day, and Soler power showed up big time as Jorge mashed a 3-run blast, led the Giants in RBIs and hits today. Probably definitely his best game as a Giant. Hopefully he's turned the corner, and we had an absolutely amazing story on the hill today as Spencer Bivens saw his journey to the bigs come to fruition today as he picked up the win in his MLB debut. We will break it all down, but first I want to thank all of you for watching us on the Locked On Sports San Francisco YouTube channel. Please, if you aren't subscribed, hit that subscribe button right now. Thanks also for listening on the Locked On Giants podcast feed. However you're getting the show, we appreciate it. And make sure to check out the Locked On Giants Daily Show for more in-depth coverage. Ben Kaspick does a great job. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more. Right now, new customers get $200 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. That's $200 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon to get started. And Bivens, he didn't start the game in this one, but he was the bulk pitcher. Eric Miller got the start as the opener again, as we've seen time and time again. You guys know how much I love them opener and bullpen games. But, as far as bullpen games go, this one was pretty fun. Eric Miller gave up a run in that top of the first. Angels took an early 1-0 lead, and then Bivens comes in for the bulk work in the start of the second inning. He struck out the first batter that he faced, but then gives up a home run to the very next batter that he sees. Angels 2-0 lead. But the Giants, they picked him up, but not before scaring the ever-living hell out of all of us again, making us think that this game was going to be a repeat of the first two games that we saw. Remember, the Giants in the first two games of the series went a combined 3 for 26. I'll say that again, 3 for 26 with runners in scoring position in these first two games. Today, much better. 9 for 19. First of all, you get 19 runners in scoring position. It's a really good chance that you're going to win that game. But in the bottom of the third, Giants got some runners in scoring position, didn't do anything with it. Wisely, a leadoff double. Ramos, next batter up, singles, first and third, nobody out. Giants seem like they're going to get a run in, but same problems persisted in that inning that marred the Giants in the first two games of the series. They were unable to even get a productive out, let alone a hit. Wisely gets caught in a rundown between third and home on a Bailey ground ball, and he's tagged out in between third and home. And they're just, you heard, if you were listening on the radio side, you heard Dave Fleming say the Giants are just inventing new ways to not score runs, and that's sure as hell what it seemed like at the start of this game. Conforto and Matt Chapman both pop out to end the inning, and it just felt like a waste. Felt like the Giants were sliding back down the same slide they had been on the last couple of days. But then in the bottom of the fourth, the Giants, wow, they erupt for 9 runs in the single inning. That's the most runs the Giants have scored in a single inning since 2021. And Jorge Soler was a big part of it, man. He was at the center of all of this action today. He led off that inning, and he was buzzed big time. Almost took one right to the face and eventually walked. It seemed to juice up the Giants. I mean, Soler hit the ground hard trying to avoid that one, and it felt kind of similar to earlier in this homestand when Yaz almost took one to the face, and it invigorated the Giants, gave them life, and that's exactly what I think happened here. Flores comes up next, doubles. Slater then comes up and gets hit by a pitch. He gets hit on the jersey, kind of in the stomach area. Don't even know if that hit his actual body or if it just clipped the jersey. But I'm sure that the Giants were sitting there not too happy about that after Soler almost got plunked in the face, and then they actually do go out there and hit Austin Slater. So Tyro, then the next guy up with the bases loaded and nobody out. And Tyro, who has been really struggling. Remember, we said that hopefully that RBI knock that he got last night would help lift him off of this slump. Well, he rips a double down the left field line, and that was a huge hit in the moment. It just seemed to lift this this thick air that seems to have just suffocating the Giants lately, at least when they're at the plate, and it just seemed to lift all of that away. Tied the game up at 2-2, and you saw Tyro just there wasn't a lot of celebrating over there at second base. The Giants have had a lot of celebrations this year, but Tyro just gave a death stare back into the dugout, like, let's go, like, let's keep this going. And that's exactly what the Giants did. Brett Wisely comes up next, doubles and scores 2 more runs. Giants then take a 4-2 lead. And then Ramos, the one guy who's been consistent for the Giants all year long, is the one guy who didn't really do anything during this rally. He strikes out. The Giants ended up batting around in this inning. After the Ramos strikeout, Bailey singles, an errant throw puts runners at second and third with just 1 out. And then a Matt Chapman single drives in Wisely. It's a 5-2 Giants lead at that point. And then after a Michael Conforto pop out, here comes Jorge Soler. And as we all know how his season's been going, kind of expected that to be the end of the inning right there. And it would have been a nice 5-run inning, but Soler comes up and puts a 3-run bomb into the left field bleachers. And man, oh man, did that feel great. It gave the Giants an 8-2 lead, 102 miles an hour off the bat, 377 feet. But it was more impressive how high he hit this pitch. He hit that thing a mile up into the atmosphere, a water tower power type of shot to left field. His 8th home run of the season, which actually ties him for the team lead with 4 other Giants. And if this guy, I mean, if you're looking for positives, if this guy is playing as poorly as he has been, I mean, I don't get this twisted. Jorge Soler has been terrible for the Giants this year, especially for what they expected him to do. But if he's still able to tie for the team lead in home runs when he's been this bad at this point in the season, does that say more about how Jorge Soler, when he's bad, still really isn't terrible? Or does that really say that this Giants offense is very mediocre when it comes to power hitting? It's kind of a little of both, I think. I do think that the expectations for Soler is what makes his slumps so frustrating for Giants fans. I mean, he really hasn't been terrible. I mean, he's been bad, don't get me wrong, but 224 batting average, not the worst in the world, not the best in the world either. 8 home runs. It's not what you expected from Soler. And the main issue, as we all know, has been his batting average with runners in scoring position. His ability to drive in runs has just not been there. And even lately, Soler's been pretty good on this homestand. Since the start of the Astros series, coming into this one, before this game, he was batting .333 on this homestand with 5 hits and 3 runs scored in the 5 games since June 10th, since the start of that Astros series. He has also, in that same span, drawn 5 walks. So he's been on base 10 times over that period. It's not bad. It's really not terrible. It's just the lack of power, the lack of extra base hits, the lack of RBIs, the lack of clutch hitting that has been a disaster for Soler this year. But today he leads the Giants in RBIs, 4 RBIs for Soler, 2 runs, 3 I'm mixing up my words, 2 hits, 3 runs, there we go, and a walk. He was on base 3 times in this one. The Giants really benefited a lot from Jorge Soler today. Did have a couple strikeouts. He's gonna strike out. That's part of how he is. You know, this guy's swinging for the fences 90% of the time that he's up there. So you're gonna strike out a little bit, but you love to see the 109 miles an hour off the bat, that double that Soler roped. I mean, and the home run, 102 miles an hour off the bat. I mean, he seems to be coming around. He seems to slowly be starting to hit, and the Giants are going to need him to hit if they're going to want to make a second half push, if they're going to want to continue to compete for this last wild card spot in the National League. You're going to need Jorge Soler to keep doing what he did today, what he's been doing on this homestand. Hopefully this is him turning the corner. That Soler home run, that 3-run bomb gave the Giants an 8-2 lead, as I said. But the Giants weren't done in that inning. Flores reaches base safely on a fielding error, errant throw, goes into the Angels dugout and lets him take second base. And then Austin Slater, who came in to pinch hit for Mike Yastrzemski, singles to score Wilmer Flores. 9-2 Giants lead, and they piled on more after that. The bottom of the 7th, a Slater tater, a solo shot, gave the Giants a 10-2 lead. 4:15. Slater has also been coming around a lot as of late. Was not that long ago that this guy's batting average was like below 100. He's now batting .230 on the season, which is nothing to write home about. but it's definitely, he's off the interstate. That's as Kruk and Kipe like to say, he got off the interstate. Batting average over 200. He's at least above the Mendoza line now, And so Soler and Slater both stepping up lately. I know the Giants fans have been so frustrated by these two guys all season long, but today, man, those two guys were huge, integral parts of this offense. Slater, he went 2 for 2 at the dish, scored twice, drove in 2 runs, and drew a walk. That's a hell of a day at the plate, man. So two guys who have really hurt the Giants offensively all year long really have come up big for the Giants today and on this homestand. The Giants kept pouring the runs on, though. In the bottom of the 8th, Michael Conforto doubles, and then Soler doubles down the left field line. That was the 109-mile-an-hour shot off the bat I was talking about. Gave the Giants an 11-2 lead. Then Trenton Brooks gets in on the action. A little Trenton Brooks a name drop on the Locked On Giants postcast. Usually not something we're doing, but a Trenton Brooks single scores Jorge Soler. First career RBI for Trenton Brooks, a 12-2 Giants lead. And at that point, the Angels go to the position player pitching, and the Giants get one more run on a Brett Wisely ground out, 13-2 lead going into the top of the 9th. And then Camilo Doval did his best to give us all a heart attack there in the 9th inning. He has not been steady lately. Camilo has been up and down. He struggled with his control, and he struggled a lot with his control in this inning. Walked 2 guys, gave up 4 hits, allowed 4 runs. Just really couldn't throw strikes, and he ultimately couldn't get out of the inning. You heard Kruko kind of talk about, if you're watching on the NBC sports broadcast, you were talking about Mike Kruko saying that high leverage guys really struggle when they come into games with huge leads. He talked about Javi Lopez, former Forever Giant and World Series winner with the Giants, current part of the broadcast team. Javier Lopez, great dude, Javier Lopez as well. I've had the pleasure of talking to him a handful of times. Really nice guy. Just what you see on the broadcast is what you get in person from Javi. He's a really good dude. And Kruko was using Javi as the reference point. He was saying that his ERA is probably like a half a point higher in situations where he had big leads that he came into pitching. And that's kind of true for all high leverage closers and all high leverage pitchers in Major League Baseball. They really struggle when they have, that 10-run cushion. It's hard to get the juices flowing. And so Camilo Doval apparently tried to go out there and make his own stressful situation. It didn't. Let's be clear. I don't actually think that's what he was trying to do, but that's what he did for sure, and couldn't get out of the jam. Ryan Walker comes in and closes it down, but 13-6 final. As I said, the Angels played 4 more runs in that inning, but it didn't phase Jorge Soler. If you saw the camera kept going to Soler in the dugout on the NBC Sports broadcast, and dude was wearing, I don't know where he found it, but he's just wearing the straw hat, like Father's Day giveaway. They gave away a SF Giants straw hat today for Father's Day. A great day game giveaway item. I can't tell you guys how many times I've gotten just sunburned, just absolutely, I wanted to say baked, but that's the wrong thing to say. I have been absolutely cooked in the sun at Oracle Park so many times and just come out looking like a lobster. So if I could just get a straw sun hat every day out at the yard, that would be great, at least an everyday game. But Soler, he was big chilling in that dugout. He went and found one of those hats, threw it on. Didn't phase him that Camilo Doval was out there giving up runs left and right. He was enjoying the game. He was just watching it, just like every other dad in the stands. He was just enjoying Father's Day and the Giant straw hat giveaway, which is a pretty cool hat, man. I'd like one of those hats. I need to go on a hunt and find one of those ones. But 13-6 Giants win. Final score, as I said just a few moments ago, and the big difference today, 9 for 19 with runners in scoring position. That is a lot different than 1 for 13 or 2 for 13 as they were in the prior 2 games of this series. We got to take a quick break, but on the other side, we got 2 huge things to get into. I want to do a deep dive on Jorge Soler and what this series could do for him, what he did in this game, in this series. But first, we also got to talk about Spencer Bivens and this kid's journey to the big leagues. You guys don't want to miss this. This is it fills me with inspiration just watching this kid out there. It is such a cool story. Stay tuned on the Locked On Giants postcast. I'm your host, Eric Triple E Engel. We will be right back. Summertime means baseball, the NBA Finals, and more, and you can bet it all on FanDuel. Right now, new customers get $200 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. That's $200 you can use to bet everything from the Finals MVP to who's going to hit one out of the park to I hope you bet the Giants over today because, man, oh man, 13 runs, they just blew that projection right out of the water. I hope you hammered that Giants over today. Hope you, as we've said in some of our other reads, when you're looking for tax help, hopefully you hit that big parlay today. Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and add a big win to your summer bucket list. FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. And today's show is also sponsored by PrizePicks. PrizePicks is America's #1 fantasy sports app with over 5 million members. PrizePicks is the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. It's just you against the numbers. You pick more or less than on 2 to 6 player stat projections for a chance to win 100 times your money. Baseball season is officially underway, and there's no better way to cash in on the action than PrizePicks. Add your favorite players from the diamond to your PrizePicks lineups all season long, whether it's strikeouts, RBIs, or first inning runs. Take your pick of more or less and add them to your PrizePicks lineup today. You can now win up to 100 times your money with baseball-only lineups on PrizePicks. If you submit a winning lineup featuring 4 demon squares, you'll cash in big time on the biggest moments of baseball's early season. Download the app today and use code LOCKEDONMLB for a first deposit match up to $100. Again, download the PrizePicks app today and use code LOCKEDONMLB for a first deposit match up to $100. It's PrizePicks. Pick more, pick less. It's that easy. Welcome back to the Locked On Giants postcast. I'm your host, Eric Triple E Engel, and today, Father's Day, out at Oracle Park, an absolutely gorgeous day here in San Francisco. Shout out to all the dads out there if you're catching us on the Locked On Giants postgame, maybe driving home from the yard, or maybe you just hung out with the family at home watching. We appreciate you tuning in, and happy Father's Day to all you dads out there. I know I saw my dad this morning. We talked a lot about this Giants team, and we talked a lot about a couple things, how Jorge Soler has been really struggling, hurting this team, and we talked about how the Giants pitching staff has just been a big letdown this year, man. And it's not really any one. I mean, Blake Snell, yeah, that's an issue. But the rest of these guys, and even Blake Snell to some extent, it's not really their fault that all these dudes are getting injured. I think Blake's a different story because if you voluntarily skip all the offseason training and then you get hurt once the season comes around, that's kind of predictable. That's on you, buddy. But the rest of these guys, I mean, Kyle Harrison hits the 15-day IL, which is why we didn't get his start today. And he, I mean, this was a weight room injury where he injured his ankle doing weight training, which is very concerning. An off the field injury is not usually a very good thing. And Bob Melvin described it as a quote blow to the Giants pitching staff. Yeah, no S, Bob. I mean, geez, man, how many more injuries can the Giants have? But today, this is going to be a problem going forward. Don't get me wrong, but just for today, just for this one game, we had a little bit of a reprieve from that. Spencer Bivens made us completely forget about the fact that this Giants starting pitching staff is in a state of disarray by his performance today. He picked up his first career win in his MLB debut. He went 3 innings, 1 hit. The 1 hit, unfortunately, was a home run, but strikes out 4, and he pitched really well today, man. In those 3 innings, struck out the first batter that he faced. And let me take you guys through this guy's journey to the MLB. It is a long, winding one, so stay locked in on this because stick with me. So he goes to college, grows up out near Penn State. He wanted to go to Penn State. That was the college team he grew up rooting for. He makes the team, goes to report as a freshman and gets kicked off the team before the season even started for a positive marijuana test, which we shouldn't be kicking people off of teams for that at this day and age. But that's over there in in the other part of the world, what it feels like compared to here in California. I don't think we should be kicking people off their college baseball team for some pot. I don't think that's really that big a deal. But regardless, he never gets to pitch for Penn State. He goes and switches up, goes to college at Rogers State in Oklahoma. And he wasn't recruited at all out of there. I mean, undrafted. He spends his career bouncing from random baseball league to random baseball league all over the world. He began his pro career in France with an independent league team in 2019. Then he signs with the Czech baseball league in 2020. I didn't even know there was a baseball league in the Czech Republic, and he ended up not being able to play any games over there because the season was canceled due to COVID in 2020. Then he spends a year in the Frontier League. Shout out the Frontier League. I'm pretty sure the Oakland Ballers are in the Frontier League. If you guys are familiar with what's happening over there in Oakland with the A's leaving and all that, the Oakland Ballers, the team that Oakland, it's like all the A's fans have like propped up in Oakland, this brand new Frontier League team. I'm pretty sure that's the league that they play in, is the Frontier League. And that's where this guy was just a couple years ago, where he actually got cut from his Frontier League team. The Washington Wild Things released him as he had an ERA over 7. And then this guy goes and spends 2 seasons in the Atlantic League with 2 different teams. His ERA was over 10 his first year, over 7 his second year. It didn't look like this guy was ever going to sniff the big leagues, but the Giants saw something in this kid and took a chance on him in 2022, signed him to a minor league deal. Since he's been a Giant, he has kept a sub-4 ERA the entire time. His first year was single A. He had an ERA of 3.95 with 48 Ks over 43 in the third inning. Then in the 2023 season with high A Eugene, that's where he started, and then he ended up in Double A Richmond. He had 27 appearances for Richmond and registered a 5-4 record with a 3.69 ERA, 72 strikeouts over 78 innings. Then he gets invited to the Major League Club's spring training this year. In 2024, though he started the year in AAA Sacramento, he's posted a 2.81 ERA with 36 strikeouts and 8 saves across 21 games. And that's in the Pacific Coast League, which is really tough on pitchers. He was named the Pacific Coast League Pitcher of the Month for the month of May. So this guy has been pitching just on another level, like out of body type experience compared to what he was doing against guys in the Frontier League and the Atlantic League. This is insane, the way that this guy's journey. I mean, he even said, I watched a little bit of the post game on NBC before I jumped on here and saw that Bivens was talking about how I couldn't even find this in my research, but apparently he played in Mexico for a little bit as well, as he said on the post game. So this guy has just played all over the world, baseball in like 4 different countries before he lands on a pro team. Just such a feel-good story, man. In 81 career minor league games since he joined the Giants organization, he's got a 3.54 ERA, over 178 innings pitched with 176 strikeouts. And then the kid gets called up today, and he got the call last night in the middle of the game that he was going to be promoted, and he comes up and gets a win in his major league debut with the Giants. Bob Melvin said a lot of great things about the guy, including he said that there are some great stories, and you always feel good about someone making their major league debut. But if you know the trials and everything that he's been through, this is a really special one. That was a quote from Bob Melvin. And yeah, it was, man. I mean, if you heard Bivens talking about what the experience was like, he said it was surreal and out of body experience. Great feel-good story on Father's Day nonetheless. But the one thing, man, if you guys caught that interview, that post-game interview, he mentioned that his dad's flight to the yard got delayed. Man, my heart hurts for that kid for that aspect, man. I really hope his dad was able to get out there to the yard and see a little bit of his kid's major league debut, because how much more special is that, man, on Father's Day? It makes me a little choked up even just talking about it, man. It makes me feel so good for the guy. And you just love to see that. And it's even more special because it comes in a win for the Giants, which they so desperately needed. And Bivens wasn't the only big part of that. The most key player in this win today, Jorge Soler, the guy who has probably caught more flack than anybody else of this entire Giants roster for this year. Maybe Blake Snell caught a little more, but Soler, who has been so bad all season long, was one of the heroes today. Bivens and Soler, I mean, Slater, I guess too, maybe if we're doing the 3 stars thing from hockey, that would be my 3 stars for the day. More on the other side, we got to talk about Jorge Soler, what he did today, what he's been doing on this homestand. Has he turned a corner? And a little bit on Camilo Doval. You concerned about what you saw in the 9th inning there from Camilo? On its surface, seems pretty concerning. We'll break it down on the other side. Locked On Giants Postcast rolls on. I'm your host, Eric Triple E Engel. We'll be right back. Get supplies from the site that's made for the skilled trades, supplyhouse.com. Supplyhouse.com is the reliable way to order plumbing, HVAC, and electrical products online. Their easy-to-use website is packed with helpful resources and the latest product info to help you get the job done right. Shop a complete inventory of over 200,000 parts from over 400 top brands and get your order delivered right to your door with fast shipping from coast to coast. Need help with an order? Get expert support and industry-leading service from the friendliest folks in the business and talk to a real person every time. I love that part of this. Pros in the skilled trades can get a competitive edge by joining supplyhouse.com's free Trade Master program. Every Trade Master gets access to a dedicated phone line, free shipping, and discounts on every order. Join the thousands of trade pros already benefiting from their free membership at supplyhouse.com/T-M and order plumbing, HVAC, and electrical supplies from anywhere with just a few clicks at supplyhouse.com. Welcome back to the Locked On Giants Postcast. I'm your host, Eric Triple E Engel. Today, man, the Giants, they get a big win over the Angels, 13-6, a big crooked number on the board in that 4th inning. 9 runs for the Giants in that 1 inning, the most runs they've scored in 1 inning since 2021. The Giants 9 for 19 with runners in scoring position, much better than what they did the first 2 games of this series, where they went a combined 3 for 26 with runners in scoring position. And today, Jorge Soler played a big role in this one. I mean, the Giants, a ton of extra base hits all over the place. I mean, Soler had the home run, Slater hit a home run, Wisely had a couple doubles, Estrada had a double, Conforto had a double. Soler had a double also in the mix there. So the Giants really getting a lot of extra base hits today, but Soler was really the one in the middle of all of this. He's, since the start of this homestand, been playing pretty well. He's got a .333 batting average, 5 hits, 3 runs. That was before coming into today. And then today, he just makes it even better as he goes 2 for 4 at the dish, scores 3 runs, and draws a walk as well. 4 RBIs on the day for Soler. Batting average up to .224, which is not very high, but he is tied for the team lead in home runs now with 8. And I think that this guy is starting to turn a corner. It's been taking a long time, but we have been seeing incremental steps bit by bit. First, it was he's finally able to hit line drives again, not just pop up into the infield. He's changed up his swing, made it much more compact and short. He's also improved his plate discipline. He's not swinging as much at unhittable pitches that are just terrible swings, honestly. Earlier in the season, how many times did we see him swing at pitches that would have hit the guy on the other side of the plate? If there was a guy in the left-handed batter's box, would have plunked him. Soler's out there swinging at him. Balls in the dirt, swinging at him. He's looked so bad earlier in this season, and he's vision-wise at the plate. You can tell he's having much better at bats. He's actually drawing walks now. He's trying to walk in like 5 of his last 6 games. This guy's actually having some plate discipline, being more selective at what he's swinging at, and it's really changed. That combined with him shortening up his swing, Pat Burrell and the rest of the Giants hitting coaches doing some work with Soler to get him back on top of what he should be. And they seem to have really helped him out with, look at how the ball's coming off his bat now. It's a lot. I mean, he's hitting all sorts of line drives down the third baseline. It's a lot more effective of a swing than he had at the beginning of the season. He seems like he's much more in control at the plate. He seems like he's got a plan up there rather than just going up there and trying to swing as hard as he can. And all these things are starting to come together now. You're seeing it with what he's done on this homestand. This is the best stretch of games that Soler has had all season long. I mean, he's hitting over 300 on this homestand. He had 4 RBIs. He had 3 runs today, 3 runs prior. So 6 runs on this homestand and 7 hits. This guy drew a bunch of walks as well. He's been on base all the time this homestand. I think he's starting to turn a corner. I really do. And I really hope that I'm not just being overly optimistic about this, because he's kind of going to be what determines what this Giants team does. Without Soler, without that big bat in the middle of the lineup, this offense, it leaves a lot to be desired. And in the Giants, we've talked about maybe them needing to go make a trade or something, but you aren't going to need to make a trade if Soler can replicate these types of performances more frequently. He's not going to do it every day. We know that. He's a streaky guy, but I do think he's starting to turn a corner. I think we're seeing the signs. I think they are there. I have some caution, though. It's not a sure thing. I'm not guaranteeing you guys that Soler is going to turn into the guy that the Giants thought that they were going to get at the beginning of the season, but he's starting to look a lot more like that guy than he has at any other point this year for the Giants. One more quick little thing that we are going to get into before we get out. I'm going to make this as quick as possible. Doval has been terrible lately. Today was really bad. His ERA balloons up to 4.88 after today's outing. Gave up 4 runs on the 4 hits, 2 walks as well, and he only managed to get 1 out. So Doval really struggling on the hill today in a game where he had an 11-run lead. I'm not that worried about it, man. I'm not. Doval, I'm not going to be worried about any closer, not really doing closer type things on the mound when they're pitching in non-save situations. I mean, if it's like a 4-run lead, that's different, but a 12 run lead, you're not going to be able to get the juices flowing. And those guys are so, head cases. Like, we've seen Brian Wilson was like the biggest head case of all. And all these closers are like that, man. They're so finicky with their routines, with what they're doing. And if you throw anything out of whack at all, if you throw something different at them, they usually don't respond well. Today, Doval got something different thrown at him. He had an 11-run lead. How often is Doval pitching in games with an 11-run lead? This guy probably went out there feeling like trying to juice himself up, but how are you going to get pumped up for a situation like that when you're used to coming in and just do or die every pitch, when he knows that he can give up 4 runs and the Giants can still win this by 7? Like, that's it's hard to get the juices pumped, get animated for those situations. I know a lot of you don't want to hear this. You want your closer to just go out and do his thing every day because he is that good. You want that talent to be there regardless of the situation, but that's just not how baseball works, man. It's just not how closers work in today's day and age. It's just not how pitchers in general are. Like, they are so particular with their routines and just the vibes that they try to replicate every single day in, day out, the same thing. And when you throw that off, things go wonky. Today, things went wonky for Doval. I don't think he's going to pitch in too many situations with 11-run leads. I really don't. So I think that he's going to be okay going forward. I know he's been shaky in other games so far this year, but overall, Doval's blown 2 saves this entire year. It's not great to blow saves, but we need to stop acting like this guy's blowing saves left and right. If he starts doing that, then we can be concerned, okay? But right now, the Giants won. I don't think we need to all freak out about Doval, giving up 4 runs and in the inning and not being able to close out the game. It's a, you don't want to see that. I'm not saying that's a good thing or something to just completely ignore, but I'm not going to freak out about it. I'm not going to do what everyone thinks I'm going to do and freak out. Shout out that one movie that I probably shouldn't say on this podcast with Dave Chappelle. But we're all happy here with the Giants Father's Day win, 13-6 win for the Giants over the Angels. With the win, the Giants are now 35-37. The never-ending climb to 500 continues. They'll travel to Wrigley next as they play the Cubs tomorrow, and then after that, they're going to go to Rickwood Field and play the Cardinals in a game that honors the Negro Leagues. I am so excited about that. If you're watching on the YouTube stream, you see the San Francisco Seals hat, man. This came in the mail yesterday, and I am so juiced about this damn hat. It is so cool, man. If you haven't checked it out yet, you need to go check out what these San Francisco Seals hats look like. They're going to be wearing them out there at Rickwood in that game that honors the Negro Leagues against the Cardinals and honors Willie Mays. Very, very intently honors Willie Mays. Having the Giants play in this game at the field that Willie Mays won a Negro League championship on, I mean, I don't know how else you assess that. That's absolutely a nod to Willie Mays, and that just makes me so happy. My all-time favorite baseball player. If you can see, the mic's kind of in the way, but right here, right behind me, I got an authenticated Willie Mays news article and picture from back in his playing days, and it's I love this thing. I've had this in my room since I was a child, and it is so cool. I love Willie Mays. I'm so excited about the series. I hope you guys are all as juiced as I am. We got to wrap up the show. We have gone way too long, way over time here today, as we frequently are. But the Giants 13-6 win. I was just juiced about this game, man. It was a fun game. It was a good day. I mean, Dad's Day win for the Giants. Soler wearing the straw hat out there on the field, hitting 3-run shots. And Spencer Bivens tossing a gem on Father's Day in his MLB debut. What more do you want, man? And to cap it off, it's a beautiful day outside. So now that we're done with the Locked On Giants postcast, I want you guys to do exactly what I'm going to do. Go outside, enjoy the rest of this day, spend some time with Dad, and tune back in tomorrow for the Locked On Giants postcast after Giants and Cubs at Wrigley Field. Thanks for tuning in. That's all the time we got for you guys today. We'll see you next time. Peace.